The death of George Floyd. I would imagine that the majority of you, if not all of you that are watching this, are familiar with this terrible event that just transpired a couple days ago at in Minneapolis. Forgive me if I seem a little out of it. I'm thoroughly exhausted. I'm just whipped from work. And if this wasn't such a heavy topic and just so pressingly important to me, I wouldn't be making this video right now because I'm tired, real tired. But I got to say something about it because I feel so strongly about it. Okay, initially, most of the stuff that we've seen in mainstream media, in the news, you've only seen portions of video clips. We still haven't seen the body cam footage yet, which is, I don't even need to see it now. Just today, I saw the entire 9+ minute recording that a gentleman that was standing by, and he wasn't merely a bystander actually, so I can't say he was standing by because he wasn't standing by. He was actively engaging and asking the police officer to let the man up. To let the man up. And if you watch the entire 9-minute video, I don't know that you're gonna be able to watch it. I saw it on YouTube, but it seems that when they put the entire video up, YouTube, they take it down. So I don't know if you're going to see the whole video, but if you get the opportunity to see the whole video, you may not want to see it, but you need to see it because there's no question. It's cut and dry when you see the entire video. You can see that the police officer that was holding him down and had his knee on his neck, and George was he was having trouble breathing, and he was trying to enunciate that, and he was telling the police officer, "I can't breathe, please. I can't breathe, please." And he continued to hold his knee down on him for this entire pretty much 9-minute video. And he just seemed to be, after you got beyond a certain point, it seemed pretty clear that he was just enjoying himself. He literally knew what he was doing. I really do believe, and it's a god-awful thing to think, but I really do believe, and if you see the entire video, don't just jump in here in comment section and tell me, that we didn't see what he did, or he resisted arrest, or that I'm jumping to conclusions, or that I don't know the whole story. If you see the entire 9-minute video, then feel free to comment. If you disagree with me, fine. But if you see the whole 9-minute video, anyone with a sound and reasonable mind, you can see in the video that the officer that was the main primary actor that was holding the man down and had his knee on his neck, he knew what he was doing. You see the man die. The man dies. And the man begged for this officer to let up off of him. And people who were standing around and started to congregate, they were asking the officer, "Why are you holding him down this long? Why can't you let him up? Why are you holding him down?" A girl yells out, "His nose is bleeding." So he was bleeding from the nose. I guess one would expect that, if for no other reason than your face is being rubbed into asphalt, street. But he kept that knee on the man. And then we have the Asian officer who's kind of just standing by and keeping the citizens at bay. He's guilty too. he's guilty too. And here's the more screwed up thing to think about. The cop that's responsible for this, the primary, they're all responsible, but if you see from the other angle of the video, you can see that there's several officers holding him down. But the one that had his knee on his neck, the primary actor, he killed that man. It's cut and dry, straightforward as can be. He murdered that man. You can see the life slip right away from that human being lying in the street with that man's knee on his neck. Now, they responded there because they had a call because the man had tried to allegedly pass a counterfeit $20 bill. There's been some confusion. I've seen a lot of different versions of why they were called. He was a forger or he was doing this or that, but that's what it comes down to. He was trying to pass what was assumed to be alleged to be a counterfeit $20 bill. It's what's alleged to have happened. So the police have responded to that. The man apparently did put up a little bit of resistance. They got to him. He was already in his vehicle, and they were trying to get him out of the vehicle, and he didn't want to get out of the vehicle initially. But they had already had him handcuffed. They already had him cuffed, so I don't know what happened, where, there's video missing. When they got him over, near the building against the wall, and he slumped down, he's very compliant. And then I guess they were trying to get him into the car, maybe. When they got him around that other side out into the street, I would suppose that's what they were trying to do. But I don't care what the guy did. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what he did. I know that they were responding to a complaint that this allegation that this man was trying to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. And that's, think the worst. Let's think that the guy was in on something and he had counterfeit $20 bills and he's trying to pass them around. Okay? It's illegal. It's, not the greatest idea of something to try and do. It's not, but, it certainly doesn't merit loss of your life over it. And then the other side of the coin is these things are becoming kind of common, especially in bigger cities, these counterfeit bills. He could have picked this $20 bill up anywhere and he'd just been passing it along just as it was passed along to him. It doesn't really mean he's culpable in any type of scheme to, counterfeit or cheat anybody, even for $20. But, that's beside the point. Even if he was straight up, dead up guilty and he had a pocket full of counterfeit 20s, he intended to go the whole night and have himself a good old time, pass them all. Let's think the worst of the guy. So that's your judge, jury, and executioner. I don't think that carries a life sentence or death sentence. They held that man down and they killed that man. And if you see the whole 9-minute video, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. If you see the whole video, and like I said, it's not pleasant. You really kind of don't want to see the video, but if you do, you need to see it because it makes it very clear. It's all right there, and you see the man's begging and pleading. He can't breathe. And then when he stops talking, he's pretty much out. The cop's still sitting there. The man is unconscious, and he's still sitting there with his knee on his neck, and the man loses his life. The man loses his life. When they picked him up, they were picking up what looked like a lifeless body. And I think that they knew that it was a lifeless body. I think when the paramedics responded, they knew that this man had passed away. And they were just trying to go through the motions to put him in the ambulance, I guess, for the sake of spectators or whatever, to keep it down, to try to keep things under wraps. But that officer, and then he threatened to mace or pepper spray, whatever have you, the people that were, the gentleman that was filming it on his cell phone, and a woman that was there, and other people that were pleading for this cop to let him up. There was no reason for this. He pulled out a can of whatever and threatened them with that he was going to spray them with that. So he's a real tough guy, this guy. And, I'm pro-law enforcement, man. I'm pro-law enforcement, but we got to face the truth. Just like even at my level, what I do, turning wrenches. There are a lot of dishonest guys out there turning wrenches. That's not the majority. I've been turning wrenches over 30 years. It's not been my experience. That's not the majority. Not by any means whatsoever, but there's enough out there that, The trade has garnered a certain amount of bad reputation in a lot of people's eyes, thinking mechanics are always going to rip you off, because there are a handful of rotten apples out there that will try and rip you off. Of course, if you're really good at a thing, you don't need to rip anybody off. And the same thing with law enforcement, man. There are good officers out there that are fit and can do the job. Not everybody is fit to do the job. Not everybody can do the job. I've had law enforcement officers contact me and explain to me the conundrum that they're in, that something they've seen is so repulsive to them on duty within their own ranks that they're thinking about leaving, they're thinking about turning in the badge. And, to those guys, I would say, you got to do what's best for you. You got to be able to sleep at night. But if you want to make something better and you don't like what you see, then be the cure, man. Be the change from the inside. If you're already there, we don't need a good cop putting his badge down. If there's any other way you can work around it, at least you do right by people. And that's one guy that's doing good. And then maybe you get another guy that's doing good. And then and you push out the bad ones. And I know there's that thin blue line that you don't cross, but this is a different day and age, man. And some cops shouldn't be cops. And all of these cops that were there on that scene, they're all culpable. They are all part and parcel as actors in this crime. They all have a hand in it, man. Even the Asian officer that was standing there just trying to keep, people away or back, away a little bit. Not gonna let them get too close. Okay, he just stood by and let it happen. Why do you have that badge on? Why do you have that firearm on? Yeah, he's a cop too, but you saw what was happening to that man. Worse for the guy that was actually, holding the man down, and the cop that had his knee on his neck. It makes me think that this is standard fare pretty much for this character. That he behaves this way, because if that was your partner or that was a fellow officer that you worked with on the daily, and he didn't normally behave that way, he was normally a good cop, and he had upstanding morals and principles, and he tried to do right by the badge and by the citizens he served. If he crossed the line and he lost it and he was doing something like that, you would say to your brother, hey, bro, man, take it easy. What's going on? It's a little too much. Come on. Come on, back up. Let's, you would intervene for his own good, if not for the person that he's doing that, to, that he's abusing. But no, nobody did anything like that. Why? It's common sense. I mean, human behavior. This was the way the guy conducted his business. This wasn't anything new. It wasn't anything so surprising, his behavior, that any other officer that was present seemed surprised by it. I mean, maybe they might have thought in their minds, oh, here he goes again. Overreacting, overly aggressive, whatever. But in this incident, nobody said anything, nobody intervened, and this man was murdered. So it's very clear. And then look, I'm not trying to justify the rioting and the violence and the looting. That has nothing to do with this man's death. That has nothing at all to do with this man's death. That's just an excuse for criminal behavior from people that are of low character. The people that still have integrity and reasonable human morals, sure, they're irritated, they're pissed off, they're sad, they're dejected, they're hurt over what's happened, and they're protesting, and they want to be heard, and they don't want to live in the United States or our United States where that's allowed. And I don't want to imagine that reflects this country. It does not reflect this country. It does not reflect this flag. Stop burning the flag. Doesn't reflect the flag. If we lived by the standard that the flag represents, we'd have a sweet place for all of us to live, where all men are created equal. So it's not the flag. It's not the flag. Stop burning the flag. These officers, and particularly the main actor right there, that you could see on his face, the expression in his face, he knew what he was doing. I believe he knew exactly what he was doing to this man. I believe that he executed this man in the street and just figured he can get away with it. Why would he figure that? Because he's gotten away with a lot of shit so far. That's got to be the reason why. He was just too comfortable. Well, we're going to see how he does now without the firearm, without the badge, and without the backup, on the other side of the prison fence. Because that's where he belongs. That's where he belongs. Guys like this, they get that swelled head. They think that they are above everybody else. Well, you're not. And anybody that has the opinion that you have, that feels that way and wears a badge, turn your badge in. Please, do everybody a favor, because you misrepresent that badge. You do it no honor. Do it no honor. I don't even know what to say about it. I don't even know what to say about it. But I will say this country, man, police departments out there, and the police themselves, each officer, man, we need to start to police ourselves. And I know a lot of cops, man. I train with cops. One of my very best friends that I've known for 30 years or better, probably longer. He was an officer for, I don't know how many years. Hell, Chip, Carl McGee, former police officer in at that time what they considered to be some of the worst sections in Baltimore City. And you know what? He did fine. He got along very well with people in the community. In fact, there was an occasion where one of the biggest, toughest, scariest guys in that community got out of hand, and he was holed up in the building, and he wouldn't come out. And he wouldn't come out for anybody unless they got Carl McGee, Chip, because that's the only man they trusted, that he trusted. And they got a hold of Carl on the radio. He came down, and he walked in there alone with the man, and they walked out together because the guy trusted him, because he had a reputation he had developed in that neighborhood, because he was fair and he was kind and compassionate. He had a job to do, and people understood he had a job to do. And that's all it was. And he knew that these were people, human beings, just like himself. Just like himself. None are greater, none are lesser. Just sometimes people make the wrong decisions. But in this case, that officer that had that knee on that man's neck, he didn't just make the wrong decision. He was a bad seed. He's a bad guy. He is a bad guy wearing a badge. A bad guy wearing a badge. Real bad guy. Much worse guy than the man that he had down on the ground. Much worse. And he's going to get what's coming to him. Because that 9-minute video, because that man, that gentleman, stood there and shot that whole thing on that 9-minute video on that cell phone. And that's what I'm telling you. That video, that's a smoking gun. That video. That whole video. You watch him hold that man down for 9 minutes and asphyxiate that man. Nope. There's no room. There's no misunderstanding there about what was going on. So, yeah, it's a somber note, but I'm going to leave you guys now, and every single person seeing this video right now, you should be outraged. If you see this 9-minute video, you should be outraged. I don't think that the police are wrong every time there's some kind of controversy. I'm not one of those guys. I was a security specialist myself. I could have just as easily gone law enforcement when I got out of the service. No, but this case, this instance, I'm not saying it's the only one, unfortunately, but this is one that is very clear, and it's completely caught on video, and there is no question. It's absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. That in this day and age, man, in these United States, that we've got this kind of shit going on. That you got a bad guy with a badge out there running around and nobody knew it. Nobody had any inkling at all that this was a bad guy. You know, like I said, if y'all thought he was a good guy, then somebody amongst you that knew him would have said, "Hey, man, you got to take a step back, man. You're twisted here. You're going sideways. This is wrong. Think about it, man. You don't want to do this. This is wrong." But no, because you know why? It's business as usual for this guy. So this dude's a piece of shit, and that's just what it is. And may that poor man rest in peace. Lost his life over some trivial shit. Really? Really? You put it in perspective. In a horrible way, face down in a filthy street amongst strangers. You know, who would want to go like that? Where's the dignity? I think Minneapolis is going to do the right thing. They're going to do the right thing. You guys take care. Have a good night.